Last night, I was totally cream crackered. I went to bed, I thought I'll have a little read of the book I'm about to talk about. I got so unsettled by it, I then couldn't sleep, so I'm completely knackered, which is why the words aren't coming out in the right order today, because I was up reading this book till about 1:30. It's by Marcus Chown, and he's a science writer and former astronomer. And, I mean, how do you describe it? Sort of 50 remarkable facts about the universe, all of which I found sort of quite worrying.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but anyway, the book's called Infinity in the Palm of Your Hand. It's basically 50 bonkers things about the universe. And I write books, and often I have to give talks, and I don't have the opportunity to describe everything in the chapters of my book. So I try and pull out something which hopefully will grab people's interest.
Okay, so like, if you're an opera singer and then you go into a group of people, then people want you to sing. If you're a comedian, they want you to tell jokes. If you're a science writer, they want a fascinating fact on science they can go and amuse their friends and infuriate their enemies with.
Yeah, but these are not just fascinating facts. I use them to actually explain the deep, profound science behind them. So I use facts like, you could fit the entire human race in the volume of a sugar cube.
Yeah, well, how is that?
The reason for that is that the atoms that you're made of are unbelievably empty. I think it's Tom Stoppard, the playwright, had this. He said that if the nucleus at the centre of an atom, the core of an atom, was like the altar at the heart of St Paul's Cathedral, then an electron orbiting in the atom would be like a moth in the cathedral. One moment by the altar, the next by the dome. But that doesn't even really give you an idea of how empty atoms are.
So each individual atom, and I'm made of trillions, squillions. Each individual atom is mostly fresh air.
Well, I can give you as a percentage how much empty space there is in an atom. It's 99.9999999999999%. So if you squeezed all of the empty space out of all the atoms in all the 7 billion people on planet Earth, you could fit them in the volume of a sugar cube. So we are ghosts. We are, and the reason for this, I go into the reason, which is called quantum theory. Quantum theory is our very, very best description of the microscopic world of atoms and their constituents. It's given us computers and lasers and nuclear reactors. It explains why this desk in front of me is solid, why the sun shines. But
that's what I don't understand, because look, that's the desk there. That's solid. That's not something that's 99.99999% air.
Well, this brings me to another point in my book, and that is that there is this unbelievably strong force operating in all of us, which is 10,000 billion times stronger than gravity. It's called the electric force. Okay, so what you're actually feeling when you feel that desk, you're not actually feeling anything solid. You're feeling the repulsion between the electrons in your hand and the electrons in your desk. And there's this unbelievably strong force that gives you the impression that it's solid. So, no, I was getting on to why it is that there's so much empty space, and it's because all these weird things, quantum theory is based on an incredible observation, and that is that the microscopic building blocks of the universe have this weird dual nature. They behave like tiny little billiard balls, but they also behave like spread out waves, like ripples on a lake. Now, you don't even try to get your head around that, because you can't. Okay, but it turns out that the smaller the subatomic particle, the bigger its quantum wave. And the electron is the smallest particle that we know of, and it has this enormous quantum wave, and it's because the electron wave needs so much elbow room that atoms are so empty.
Where are you on religion then? Has that got a place in your mindset? Because so much is unknown and so much is sort of ambiguous. Then religion is ambiguous, so why not
Bizarrely, of course, the greatest scientist who ever lived, arguably, was Isaac Newton. And he was an extremely religious person, and most of his writing was actually analysis of the Bible. Hardly any of what he did was actually science. And he believed that by understanding how the universe, how the world worked, he was actually seeing the mind of God. He was seeing the mind of the Creator. So there was no kind of contradiction there. But personally, when I look at one of the striking things about our universe is there doesn't seem to be any supernatural power. You know, we have laws which we've discovered, basic laws. We can run in our simulations the history of the universe from the Big Bang onwards, and we end up with a universe just like ours, with stars and galaxies and planets just like ours. There doesn't seem to be a need for any supernatural power. And of course you might say, well, who created the laws of physics?
Well, who made the Big Bang Bang?
Yeah, I mean, one of the striking features of science is you put very little in and you get a lot out. So, you know, Newton's law of gravity, you can write on the back of a stamp, okay, and it tells you about the tides, and it tells you about the planets and the stars and the galaxies. But one of the characteristics of religion is you have to put something very complicated in to get something out. So you know, if you say there's a creator, you're putting something in more complicated than the universe. So I'm just saying,
we're part of something enormous that's too big for us to understand. We've been looking through the long end. See, we've been looking through the wrong end of the telescope for God. It's big, it's huge, huge. See those wee things that live in ponds? It's just a row of teeth and two fins. Right. These wee things have no idea that we exist. They haven't a clue because we're too big, too huge for them. Well, there's something too huge for us. Enormous. And that's my point. You see, I was talking